All right, today we're getting into a maritime mystery that's just wild. It's this incredible story that seriously blurs the line between actual history and pure terrifying legend. We're talking about a lost ship, a crew that vanished, and a secret so shocking it was literally buried for 400 years. So let's set the scene. The year is 1521. The ship is the San Miguel, a Spanish galleon heading from Seville to the New World. Should have been a totally routine trip, you know? But somewhere near the Canary Islands, the ship and all 123 people on board just poof, gone. Vanished right off the map. 2 weeks later, it's spotted again, just adrift. A ghost ship. The sails are shredded, there are signs of a massive struggle everywhere, but no bodies. The only lead? 19 survivors, completely traumatized, who somehow made it to shore in a little rowboat. The captain's report of what happened was so unbelievable, so horrifying, that the church immediately stepped in, classified it, and hid the whole thing from the world for centuries. So to figure out what went down, we have to go right to that top secret report from the captain himself, Don Rodrigo de Avila. And his story begins when the San Miguel decides to drop anchor for a quick 3-day rest at the island of La Gomera. Now, they picked this small bay that the local people called Anagana and Mara. The name literally means the bay of what comes from the sea. Kind of ominous, right? The crew thought it was just another stop. But the locals, they tried to warn them. They said the bay had a dark, dark reputation, a place where people had been disappearing for generations. And the dread just builds, night after night. The first night, a sailor swears he saw a mermaid. Everybody just laughs it off, sailor's yarn. But the second night, 2 watchmen go missing. The only thing left behind, a few small, wet footprints on the deck. A local elder comes to the ship and flat out tells the captain the bay is cursed. And what does he do? He decides to stay one more night. And this is where the captain's log stops being a maritime record and turns into something straight out of a nightmare. What happened on that third night just defies any kind of logical explanation. Okay, so picture this. It's the dead of night, maybe 3 a.m. The watchmen on deck notice this strange, eerie green light swirling in the water below them. Before they can even figure out what it is, figures start rising from the deep, dozens of them, maybe even hundreds. They just surround the galleon, forming this silent, terrifying blockade. And then the first one breaks the surface. This is the moment everything changes. The captain writes that it looked almost human. Almost female. But then its mouth opened, way too wide, and he saw it, a double row of razor-sharp triangular teeth, just like a shark.
The attack was instant and absolutely brutal. This strange hypnotic song started to fill the air, and it just paralyzed the crew with fear. The creatures swarmed the deck, moving with this completely inhuman speed. They grabbed sailors in a death grip, and their dark green blood, it smelled like iodine and decay.
The sailors fought back, of course, but their weapons did almost nothing. These things were basically unkillable. A guy would fire a musket point blank, tear a hole right through one of them, and then they'd all just watch as the wound sealed itself back up in seconds, and then it would just lunge again. What do you even do against that? It was total desperation. The captain realized there was only one thing they seemed to fear: fire. So he starts screaming orders to light the tar barrels and throw them across the deck. And in the middle of all that chaos, with their own ship burning around them, the few survivors use the flames as cover to lower a rowboat and just get the hell out of there. You'd think escaping a burning ship would be the end of the nightmare, right? Nope. What happened next was a deliberate, systematic effort by the authorities to make sure this story never, ever saw the light of day. So when the investigators finally got on board the wreck of the San Miguel, they found it. The smoking gun, hard proof. A 7-foot-long body, half human, half fish. It had webbed fingers, scaly skin, and there was no mistaking it. That double row of shark-like teeth. So what does the bishop in charge do with this world-changing discovery? He orders it burned, right there on the spot. Then he swears all the survivors to absolute secrecy and cooks up a cover story. A storm, maybe pirates, whatever. The terrifying truth was for the church's eyes only, written up in a secret report and sent straight to Rome. And here's the kicker. The reply from the Holy Inquisition basically confirmed it.
The church already knew about these things. They even had a name for them: demons of the water element. And their official strategy wasn't to fight them. It was to suppress any and all knowledge of them, to avoid mass panic, and to secretly change sea routes to make sure ships just stayed away from where they lived.
But a secret this huge, it's tough to keep a lid on it forever. And as it turns out, the horrifying story of the San Miguel, it wasn't a one-time thing. Not even close. Once you start looking, you see these echoes through time. A British ship in 1637 loses half its crew in a nearly identical attack. A U.S. submarine commander during World War II reports seeing fast-moving, human-like figures deep underwater. The pattern just keeps repeating, century after century, in naval records, scientific journals, and fishermen's logs. And even today, right now, the legend is alive and well. You can go to the Canary Islands, and the local fishermen will still tell you that that one bay is cursed. They talk about quiet nights when you can hear this beautiful, mesmerizing song rising up from the water. A song, they say, lures people in, never to be seen again. Captain Diavala, he was a broken man. He never set foot on a ship again, just haunted for the rest of his life by what he saw. Those were his reported last words, a warning so chilling that the church actually had the words scraped off of his tombstone so no one would read them. So what do we do with a story like this? Modern science, of course, says there's no proof, but these stories, they just don't die. They span hundreds of years, they cross cultures, and it really makes you wonder, in all the vast, unexplored darkness of our own planet, are we really the only predators out there?